Fine. So over here, I told you that static is something which you can access with the name of the class directly, and non-static is something which you can access by creating the object of the class. Fine. Okay. And what we do is that we create the object of Firefox driver class and it navigates us to Google. Similarly, you have Chrome driver class. You create the object of this class. Fine. And when you run it, all of you will get this error, and Chrome will not start. All of you will get this error, illegal state exception and all. Okay. Look, for Chrome, you need to do something to work with Chrome. You just cannot directly work on Chrome. Fine. You need to hold on just a minute. Right. You need to go to Selenium website, seleniumhq.org, right? You need to go there. Fine, and go to the download section. Yes, Kiran, it's in the reference libraries. I imported them. Fine. So if I scroll down, and you will see that these are some third-party drivers not developed by Selenium HQ. Fine. So over here, right over here, you'll see Google Chrome driver, which you can go to this and you can go to the latest release 2.20, right? And you can download the zip file for your OS. If you have Windows, you can download this one. Even if you have Windows 64, it doesn't matter. You simply download this one and extract it. And when you extract it, like I have in my F drive, okay. Chrome driver.exe. Okay, this is the one. Fine. Look, the thing is, don't run it. You will not get anything after running this. You have this Chrome driver.exe kept out here. Okay, you need to modify your code. You need to tell the path of Chrome driver. In the code, you need to write like this. That is system.set property. Okay, system is a class in Java. It's an inbuilt class which represents various system resources and all. And set property is a static function in that particular class. So it can be directly accessed with the name of the class system. Okay, and you need to write out here in key webdriver.chrome.driver and in value the path of the exe file. In my PC, it's in F drive chrome driver.exe. Make sure you give the correct path. In Java, you have to put /. It's an escape sequence. And the most important thing is, when you write webdriver.chrome.driver, okay, everything has to be in lowercase. Be very careful about the spellings. These are the common mistakes which people they do. They keep W capital over here and it doesn't work. It has to be in the lowercase, and when you run it now, you will see that a blank Chrome will open up. Fine. Okay, for Chrome driver, you need to download this exe and keep it in the system path. You can probably call the functions then Chrome driver.get http gmail.com. Fine. So when you run it, it will open Chrome and it will take you to Gmail. Fine. Okay. Similarly, you have driver class for I. Fine. For I, you have got Internet Explorer driver. Fine. You create the object of this, and when you run it, again you will get the same kind of error, illegal state exception. There's an exe for I as well, which you need to download.
Sir, I have a question.
Okay.
So my question is that you said that if you write the spelling, you write the wrong spelling, then my question is that if you write the wrong spelling, for example, the WebDriver, this skip
Okay. You are talking about
debugging.
I did something like this, right?
Yeah.
Look, it's very simple. It's a shortcut actually.
No. My question is not that. For example, you write that webdriver.chrome.driver. Okay.
Yeah.
If I write the wrong spelling of the Chrome, then
it will not work.
Okay. My question is that it will highlight that it is
No,
wrong.
it will not highlight that.
Okay.
Okay. Whatever you write in double quotes is a string.
Yeah, it is a string.
Okay. It will be taken as it is.
Okay.
It will not. Okay.
Okay. So my question is that is it possible debugging in this particular scenario?
Debugging, I'll tell you. When I'll write long programs and all, then I'll tell you. Okay. So Internet Explorer driver, you create the object. Look, there's a shortcut to type. You don't have to type everything yourself. Okay. You just type INTER and hit the control spacebar of the keyboard. So all the classes starting with INTER will come up. Okay, so you keep on typing and they'll get filtered, and you can in the end select the one which you want. Okay, so it's very simple. Control spacebar. All right. There's one more question. Look, Kiran, you don't have to worry about reference libraries. Keep it and just let it remain like this. Just include the jar files. The jar files will come under reference libraries. You don't need to use it. This I driver is present somewhere in this jar file, but I really don't want. We really don't figure it out where it is present. Okay, right? And for I driver, you have to you go to seleniumhq.org and you go to the download section. For iDriver also you have to download the standalone hold on, iDriver server. Okay, for 62-bit I or 32-bit I, it is not operating system, it is the 62-bit I or 32-bit I, your Internet Explorer. Fine. So you download this exe. I have kept this exe again in F drive and iDriver server. Okay, right. So you need to write one line over here. You need to write system.set_property again, and you need to type webdriver.i.driver, everything in lowercase. Fine, and F drive iDriver server.exe. You need to give the path of this exe. Right, and you run it, you'll see I opening up. Fine, but many of you will get an error. The reason being, first of all, the first thing, make sure that in your I, the zoom level settings are done to 100%. Okay, I is little sensitive. You have to have the correct settings. Zoom level should be 100%. Then secondly, make sure that when you go to tools, when you go to internet options, fine. And in internet options, you have security. Fine. In security, you have got 4 things, right? 4 tabs. If it's not working on I, make sure that this cursor is at the same location for all the four tabs, right? And enable protected mode. Fine, this option is selected. Disable it. Okay, if it is not working, then disable it. If it is working, then it's okay. Otherwise, disable the protected mode in your PC if it is not working. Fine, so you have to be a little careful, right? And with I also, you can navigate to any website, say http gmail.com, right? So when you run this code, it will open I and it will take you to some website. Guys, please keep yourself on mute. Okay, because I'm recording the session. Right. So that's it. Fine. So now, one important thing. If you go to your task manager, okay, you will see Chrome driver.exe running 2 times over here. And you will also see iDriver.exe running. Every time you run your programs, these exes they start. Even if the program ends and if you close the browser, these exes they don't close. You have to close the processes from here. Otherwise, what happens is that when you run your program too many times, okay, lot of these exe files they open up and you know what, they simply hang your PC. Okay, so that's why they say that always use the command, say I.quit. Use the quit command. This will actually close the exe. Rather, it will close the complete session as well. Okay, so when you open this, when you run this, you'll see that I will open, it will navigate to the website and it will quit and it will close the browser. Okay, it will close the browser as well and you don't have any exe running. Fine. Okay, so this is iDriver. Now there are other drivers as well. One of the drivers is HTML unit driver. What this does, you'll just come to know. I will create the object of HTML unit driver and then I'll write unit driver.get to the website, say http bbc.com and system.out.println driver.getTitle. Okay, sorry, ud.getTitle. This will give you the title of the page. Okay, getTitle function gives you the title of the page. What this driver does is that it doesn't open any browser. Okay, this is your PC, this is BBC server. It will send a silent request to the server, get the response and get the title from the response and print it. It works without opening the browser in a silent mode. When you run it, this will see it's printing BBC homepage. Fine. Okay. And when is this used? For example, you are working on a Unix-based machine, right? Where there is no user interface. It's just like a command prompt. Unix is like a command prompt and you have to run your scripts on Unix. So you can use HTML unit driver. You don't need a browser for that. Okay. Right. Similarly, there are other drivers. You have a remote WebDriver. We will look at this later on, but I'm just telling you, this is used in case of Selenium GRID, when you have to run your test cases parallelly among multiple machines. Okay, you have got Safari driver. It is for, obviously, the name suggests, it is for Safari, but it is unstable. Many things, they don't work on this driver. Alright, fine. So every driver class, every driver class represents a particular browser. Fine. So now the next question which arises is that if every browser is represented by a different class, and you have to create the object of that class to work on a browser, then will the commands be different? Suppose if I have to click on a link in Firefox, and if I have to click on a link in Chrome, will the command be different? Because the driver classes are different. Okay, right. How do I work in those situations where I want a single piece of code should execute on multiple browsers? Fine. So again, that is again explained. Okay, again you will have to go back to Java for that. Okay, you will have to study the concept of interfaces in object-oriented programming, and then we can come back to the same point and answer the question which we have, that how to work with multiple browsers with a single piece of code, right? And obviously nobody would want that he should learn the features of iDriver separately and Chrome separately and Firefox separately, right? So before that, anyone with any questions till now? Questions regarding the course, questions regarding what I have taught, anything? Anybody with any questions?
Hi, Ashish. So this is
Yeah,
like I asked you earlier, like what browser version is supported by this Selenium?
look,
How does
Selenium supports the latest browsers. Okay, but if it is not supporting at times it happens, right? The browsers, they get upgraded and Selenium is not supporting. So you can switch back by one or two versions, it starts supporting. Right now the latest Firefox and all, everything is supported. Okay, right. So anyone else with any question? Right. So now, yeah,
Can you hear me?
yes,
Yeah, Ashish, I want to ask that will be covering Selenium GRID as well, or just
yes,
Selenium WebDriver?
we'll be covering grid.
Okay, and this thing, before you said this, RC is there, and
RC will not be covering. ID will not be covered. No,
ID will not be covered. Okay, okay.
it is not required. Nobody uses ID these days.
Okay.
Will we be able to learn how to automate because we don't? Yes, that's what the motive is. Okay, right. Fine. So hold on, just a minute. I'll just tell you. Look, what is the motive of this course? We need to understand the motive of this course is to build a framework. Now, what is a framework? Okay, it is nothing. Okay, it is not a predefined thing. Okay, it is just, you can say, framework is an approach. It's an approach to automate your test cases. And that's what. Look, when you work in a project, fine, what happens is that you build test cases. Suppose these are your test cases. Okay, so suppose this is your test case 1. This is your test case 2. Right, test case 3. Test case 4. So Selenium will make these test cases. You will code and you will make these test cases. But it's not just making the test cases which will actually be the requirement. Right. The requirement will be that you have to make the test cases, and then you have to make sure that you are generating some reports. Maybe it's an HTML report, Excel report, anything. Along with that, you need to take the screenshots of the errors and all and store them. You need to generate some log files. Log files are something like they are files which tell that what happened each and every minute when the scripts were running. Maybe these 4 test cases take 1 hour to execute. So you need an information in a text file which tells you that what happened at every minute. Fine, so that's a log file. And then you have a requirement that you need to run it on the, you need to read the data from the Excel file. Fine. And maybe one requirement can be that whatever project you make, that has to be integrated in a continuous environment like Jenkins. Fine. So it's not just building the test cases. So to help you do all these things, fine, we have a centralized controller in between. This centralized controller is sometimes TestNG. Some people use JUnit. Some people use BDD frameworks like Cucumber or JBehave. Right. So what these centralized things they do, right? They control everything. This centralized controller, it controls everything. It reads the data from the Excel file. Okay. Then it calls the corresponding test cases in a particular order. Fine. Okay. It generates the logs. It generates the reports. Then continuous integration Jenkins can also be integrated out here with this scenario. Okay, Selenium as a tool which we are learning right now is only in this green box. This is Selenium. Okay, so this course is not just about learning Selenium, it's about learning few other things as well. Okay, Selenium cannot generate reports. There is no feature in Selenium to generate reports. There is no feature in Selenium to read from Excel file. It's not like UTP or UFT where you get end-to-end things. Okay, it's an open source tool. Selenium will only interact with the browser, that's it. It has got functionalities which can help you to interact with the browser and automate the browser processes, that's it. And this is what we call a framework. Okay, it's just an approach to automate your test cases. So this thing can be done in various ways. There are various approaches or ways in which we can accomplish the current scenario which I have just explained you. Okay, and that's what the goal is, but I cannot just jump onto this rather not on 1 or 2 days. Even after 10 to 15 hours of training, I cannot jump over to this. So we'll do it as the course processes, we'll jump over to it. Fine. So anybody else with any questions?
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
We write the code in the Eclipse and then run the code. Then what is the flow? First, for example, when we run the code, then go to the web server or somewhere else.
No, it runs on Eclipse only. It runs on your local machine. There is no web server, nothing involved. Nothing.
Okay.
Okay, it's only on your machine. It's not a client application. Selenium is a standalone tool. That's it. Okay. Fine. Anyone else? No questions? Fine. So, we will, class can be learned first. So that's Kiran, I am coming over, that's what I am telling you. I am explaining the basic lists of classes over only out here which we are learning right now. These are the internal classes. Okay, that's what I am telling you right now. Fine. Now, should I learn these classes, every feature in this class, right? That's what I had explained you around some time back. Right? No, you don't need to do that. Okay, I'll tell you what you actually need. Okay. You need to actually understand the concept of object-oriented programming. Fine, and rather interfaces in object-oriented programming. Right. So how does that work? Right. Hold on. let me make a new interface. Okay, I'm going to make a new interface. Fine. And I'll call that interface as bank interface. Now, what is an interface? Interface is something which gives you an overview. What, Ram, I'll come over to your question in some time. Okay, interface is something which helps you or which gives you an overview what the system is about. Fine. For example, when you open a book, when you're going to buy a book from a bookstore, you look at the book, you could look at the cover face, read it, and you judge that what the book is about, right? So you get an idea what it is offering you. Or similarly, you go to any website. Fine, you go to my website, qtpselenium.com. The welcome page of this website is an interface, right? It tells you what kind of trainings we offer, right? We offer QTP and we offer Selenium, right? If you want to go inside Selenium, you go inside Selenium. Here you can look at the course details and all everything. So you have got an idea that what we are offering, but how we are offering it, how we are delivering it, whether the content will be up to your expectations or not, right? You really don't know, but you only know that fine, this is what this stuff is being offered right now. Okay, so that's what interface does. It tells you what you are offering, right? For example, what a bank will offer, right? You can write over here public void deposit. Okay, public void issue interest. Fine. So you have got functions in interfaces, but you don't have the function bodies. These are just functions, only the names followed by a semicolon, and that's it. Okay, that's what interfaces they do. They don't have the bodies. They only tell that what bank is supposed to do. Bank will deposit and bank will issue the interest. All right, fine. Now hold on. There is one question being asked. Normally, how do we run the tests in real time using AND, batch, or remote services like Source Labs? Okay. Look, I just explained you these diagrams. This diagram. The question being asked is how do you run the test cases? Look, there are various ways available. Fine. There are tools like Ant is there. We'll study that. Okay. There is a tool like Maven. You can execute your test cases from Eclipse as well. You can use Source Labs, which is a paid service, but it's really good. Fine. So there are various ways available. Okay. Right. So coming back to the point, right? What an interface is, public interface bank. Interface can help you deposit like over here and issue interest. Fine. So what will happen is that if I make a new class, for example, I make a new class over here, HSBC Bank. Right. Okay. All right. Whatever I am writing code, that is known as script only. Okay. Whatever code I am writing right now, Shalu, it's a script. Yes, we'll talk about XPaths, we'll talk about object identification, we'll talk about everything. Okay, right? Everything is there. Look, the thing is you have to be a little patient, right? So over here, we'll come over to how Selenium works. Okay, we'll start over here, analyzing the page sources, extracting the objects and all, everything we'll see, right? XPaths, ID, names, find how to variable XPaths. Okay, there are a lot of things. Okay, we'll come over to them. Right. So now, as I told that there is a HSBC bank class. Fine, and there is a bank interface. Fine, there is an interface bank, and HSBC bank is a class. So what we do is that we write public class bank implements the interface bank. HSBC bank implements the bank interface. It means that HSBC bank will have to mandatorily implement all the features of the bank interface, all the functions. That's why it's throwing an error right now, because I have not implemented the functions from the bank interface. I'll move the mouse over the error. It will show me an option to fix it. Add the unimplemented methods. So you add both the functions in HSBC bank. You can print HSBC depositing, and in issue interest HSBC issue interest. @ override, this is known as an annotation. This means that this function is coming up from the bank interface. Okay, this function is coming up from the bank interface. It is actually something. Hold on, just a minute, guys. There's some problem. Yeah, it's okay now. Yeah, this function is coming up from the bank interface. Okay, so you can remove it as well, but if a layman looks at your code, he'll come to know that this is coming from the interface. Now similarly, you can make a new class known as Citibank. Right, Citibank will also implement the interface bank. So what will happen is that it will also have to add the unimplemented functions. So I'll write Citibank deposit. Citibank issue interest. Okay. Right. So now if you hold on, if you look at what I have done, right, I have made a bank interface and two of my classes, they are implementing the interface. Okay, there are two functions in the interface. Both the functions are implemented by the classes. Okay, HSBC bank will implement in its own way the function. Citibank will implement in its own way. But the thing is, what did I get out of this? Okay, why did I do it like this? I could have directly and very simply made two different classes. Okay, and I could have simply made the functions in them. Why did I make both the classes implement the interface? Okay, the reason for that is it brings a kind of, you can say, discipline in the system. If tomorrow a new bank comes up, right, that bank will also have to implement the interface, and that bank will also have the functions. Maybe the implementation will be different. Okay, so if a layman looks at the bank interface, he will be able to immediately guess that what would be the functions in the classes. Right, and that's exactly what is done in Selenium. In the architecture of Selenium, right, if you go to the official website, if you go to the download section, you will have the Java doc link. Fine, you go to this and these are all the classes. The classes which are written in italics, these are interfaces. Okay. For example, this is the interface mouse. Okay. This is the mouse interface. Alright. This mouse interface has got various functions which denote what we do with the mouse, right? Similarly, you have got an interface, say WebDriver interface. Everybody knows what WebDriver is. Practically, it is an interface. Okay, and it's got some basic features which you do with the browser. You close the browser, you find an element in the browser, you get function is to load a new web page in the browser, get the title of the browser. Okay, there are lots of functions. Quit the browser. Fine. Okay, so what happens is that all the classes which we just talked about, like Chrome driver, iDriver, Firefox driver, all these classes, they are implementing the WebDriver interface. Because all these classes are implementing the WebDriver interface, okay, all the classes will have the same set of functions. So you don't need to worry that, okay, if I have to click on a link in Chrome, what would be the command, and if I have to click on a link in Firefox, what would be the command? Commands would be the same. All these classes will have the functions which are mentioned in the WebDriver interface. And even if a driver comes up tomorrow for a separate browser, okay, so you will have the you'll have that driver class implement this interface, and it will also have the same set of functions. I hope you understood my point. Fine, I hope you understood my point. Right. Interface is not static, it is normal, an interface. Okay. Right. So that's I think I'll stop here for today. I have done a lot of things. Okay. So interface is something which defines what a system is going to do, and whosoever implements the interface will have the same set of functions. And that's what you really don't need to worry about these classes now, because all these classes would have these functions.